Hare Krishna Madhuri Saki, Hare Krishna Pavni, Shivani, Hare Krishna, Tiny Radha, Hare Krishna. Great to see you all. Keshav, Haribol, Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu, are you leading us today?
Sure, I could enter March. Hare Krishna, thank you everyone for joining. Welcome to Youth Jam. So nice to see you everyone here in the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. So we're returning today after about a 2 week hiatus, as we usually do over the period of the winter holidays. Some people, including myself, were with Maharaj on a yatra in India, the youth yatra. So it's nice to be returning after a while. And as usual, we can begin our program with a prayer from one of our participants here. The way this works is we can have someone make a nomination, and if it's seconded, we can hope to hear a nice prayer from that person. Would anyone like to make a nomination? Manish has nominated Tarni Radha. Radha seconds. Tarni Radha, would you like to go ahead?
Hey, can I have the format?
Give me format in the chat, please. Sorry, just a second. We'll get the format in the chat. There we go.
Dear Radha Golokananda, if you so desire, please make this youth jam successful so we can all learn something valuable for our bhakti. Please consider our humble request.
Thank you so much, Tarini Radha. That was a really nice prayer. And with that, Marge, I'll hand it back to you and we can start with anything you'd like to start with.
Well, what do you think if we all pay our tax and do our chad?
Yes, I agree.
Always makes me feel better when we finish our chad. Do you know where we are now?
I think we're still on chapter 11, first 22 verses from. All right.
Okay. So how shall we do this?
Should we do the Sanskrit verses and then the translations after?
How many each?
Let's do 3 each.
Okay. I volunteer to start. Arjunuvacha mad anugrahaya paramam kuhyam adhyatma sangyatam yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Vavapyaya hi bhutanam shrutau vistarasho maya tvata kamalapyaksha mahatmyam apichavyayam. Evam etad yatata tvam atmanam parameshvara drashtumichchami te rupam aishvaram purushottama.
मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया द्रष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानमव्ययम् श्रीभगवानुवाच पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोऽथसहस्रशः नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतीनि च पश्यादित्यान् वसून् रुद्रान् अश्विनो मरुतस्तथा भूयान् अदृष्टपूर्वाणि पश्याश्चर्याणि भारत.
इहैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नं पश्चादस्य सचराचरं मम देहे गुडाकेश यच्चान्यत् द्रष्टुमिच्छसि न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम् अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ततो राजन् महायोगेश्वरो हरिः दर्शयामाश पार्थाय परमं रूपमैश्वरम् अनेकवक्त्रनयनम् अनेकाद्भुतदर्शनम् अनेकदिव्याभरणम् दिव्यने दिव्यानेकोद्युताद्युधम् दिव्यामाल्याम्बरधरम् दिव्यगन्धनुलेपनम् सर्वाश्चर्यमयं देवम् अनन्तं विश्वतोमुखम् दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपद उत्थिता यद्भासदृशी सा स्याद् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः
तत्रैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नं प्रविभक्तम् अनेकधा अपश्यद् देवदेवस्य शरीरे पाण्डवस्य तथा स विस्मयाविष्टो हृष्टरोमा धनञ्जय प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं कृताञ्जलिरभाषत अर्जुन उवाच पश्यामि देवांस्तव देवदेहे सर्वांस्तथा भूतविशेषसङ्घान् ब्रह्माणमीशं कमलासनस्थं ऋषींश्च सर्वान् उरगांश्च दिव्यान्
अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वां सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपं नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिं पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप किरीटनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजो राशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तं पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्ष्यनं समन्ताद् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम् त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यं त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानं त्वमव्ययः शाश्वतधर्मगुप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतो मे
अनादिमध्यात्ममनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रं स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम् द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपम् उग्रं तवेदं लोक्यत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन् अमीहित्वा शूरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचिद्भीताः प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षिसिद्धसङ्गाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः
Did we end up with one extra?
I think so.
Rudradritya Vasaboye Hicha Sadya Vishveshpina Marutashchoshma Pascha Gandharva Yaksha Surasiddha Sangha Vikshanti Tvam Vismitaschaiva Sarve Om Tat Sat. How many? 3? I volunteer to start. Arjuna said, by hearing my instructions, by hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, My illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours.
If you think that I'm able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine and multicolored forms. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before.
O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me without your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes.
He said
Behold,
without, it's with.
where?
But you cannot see me with your present eyes.
But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna.
Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All were wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands.
Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances, with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on a lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere, without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning.
Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. That is my opinion. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning with this entire universe by your own radiance.
Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying, "All peace," are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vishvadevas, the two Ashvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. Maitali, can you pick a verse?
11.8.
Eleventh 3, did you say?
8th Mar.
11:8?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind reading the translation and purport?
Yes, Maharaj. Translation. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Purport. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind but with spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind but his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important. That will be clear in subsequent verses. Yet, because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Devotees who are not correctly situated in transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by a godless display of opulence. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never wanted Krishna to show his opulences. They are so immersed in pure love that they do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In their loving exchange, they forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the boys who play with Krishna are all highly pious souls, and after many, many births, they are able to play with Krishna. Such boys do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take him as a personal friend. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami recites this verse. Etam sat
Itam sadam Rama sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sakam rajaru krita punya punjaha. Go ahead, you could do it from the beginning if you want.
Etam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sakham vijaru krita punya punjaha. Here is the Supreme Person, who is considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotees, and a product of material nature by ordinary men. Now these boys, who have performed many, many pious activities in their past lives, are playing with that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.12.11. The fact is that the devotee who is not concerned with seeing the Vishwarup, the universal form, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substin substantiate Krishna's statements so that in the future people could understand that Krishna is not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. Arjuna must confirm this because Arjuna is the beginning of the parampara system. Those who are actually interested in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna, should understand that Krishna is not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually reveal himself as the Supreme. The Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we have already explained.
Maitli, if you were going to give an extemporaneous talk on this verse to people who didn't know about Krishna consciousness, which sentence or point would you pick?
I would to someone who doesn't know about Krishna consciousness, Maharaj?
Yeah.
So if I were to summarize this verse to them.
No, just pick one sentence
Okay.
from this purport that would be a jumping off point for you to speak on that you think I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just asking which sentence you'd pick.
Devotees who are correctly situated in a transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by godless display of opulences.
Okay, that's it's hard to pick from this because it's very esoteric, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Arv, did you hear the sentence that she had given?
Hare Krishna. Yes, I'd heard it.
What could you say about that sentence? Just make 3 points.
That we have our relationship with God, with Krishna, and the relationship is transcendental, and devotees are attracted to him.
Nicely done. Okay, now Manya, give any kind of shastric support to the 3 points that Arav just made. Anything you can think of that would back up any of his points.
One of the points that you made was that Krishna is personal, and I was thinking about also the not attracted by the godless opulence. It's maybe a stretch, but I was thinking about the Brahma Samhita. It describes Krishna's abode, and it says Chintamani Prakarasat Mashukal Pariksha. It talks about the spiritual world, and it describes that there are trees that can fulfill any desire, etc. So I was thinking that devotees are attracted by that realm of Krishna. And that's one.
Nice.
I'll keep thinking if I have something.
Your mind went right to Brahma Samhita and a verse. Very good, very good. Let's see who else can add anything to that. Shastric reference we're on right now for anything that Arav said. Make your 3 points again, Arav, and then we'll ask for any hands of anybody who wants to offer a verse that they think relates to one of the 3 points that you made.
I'd said
Somebody could put it in the
that
chat box as
okay.
you said, please. Go ahead, Arf.
So we have individual relationships with Krishna. The second point was, I remember the third point. The third point was that Krishna attracts devotees. And the second point I had made was, can I see the verse again so I can just remember it?
I think you mentioned something about transcendence or transcendental, its relation.
Oh, yes, the relationships are transcendental.
Okay, and look, Maduri Saki's ready to say something.
I had like the first verse that I was gonna reference was, it may be a little bit of a stretch, but when Arav said that we have an individual relationship or relationship with Krishna, I was reminded of the Isha Upanishad and the verse here on Mayana Patrina, because it describes how the Lord has a face, and I think that that in itself sometimes it can make it personal. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but the second.
No, it's fantastic. It's an excellent verse. And not only that, it's right out of the Upanishads. The Sri Upanishad is from the original Vedas. And you're offering Krishna as a person there, so sing it nicely. And don't be reticent or apologetic when you bring it forward. Bring it forward boldly. Go ahead, Madhuri Saki, sing the verse.
Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitamukan tatran purushana pravinu satyadharmaya drishtaye. And
Now
this
make your
verse
case. Make your
describes
case.
how
This proves
this
that.
verse describes how the Lord, sorry, this verse describes how the Lord has effulgence and has a face, and so we know that God is a person, and therefore, because He is a person, we can have a relationship or a connection to Him.
I like that a lot. I think that's very well done. Arya's ready to go. Go ahead, Arya. Give us some pramanam. We want evidence from the Shastra.
I found a sloka that Arav points, but it's from Bhagavad Gita again. And
Oh,
it's 11.54.
sing it out.
भक्त्या त्वनन्यया शाख्या अहमेवं विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. So it says that Krishna is always with you and standing before you, and he can always be understood and can see directly through devotion. So that is like how we get attracted to him, because he's always with us.
Very good. Does it prove any of the other points?
I don't know.
Well, let's look at them. We have an individual relationship with Krishna. Krishna attracts devotees. Our relationship with Krishna is transcendental. Is there any indication from that verse that it's a transcendental relationship? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Maybe.
You should go into law. You could be a good lawyer. Okay, Arav.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking about Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mam Aivashasi Yuktavaibam Atmanam Matparayana. I was thinking because that becoming a devotee of Krishna and worshiping him is a relationship, and you're worshiping him that's transcendental as a relationship because he's the supreme personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Nicely done. Chaitanya Nitai Nama.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking of the point that Arv made, the first point that devotees have their own relationship with Krishna. It reminded me of the verse in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yo tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiham Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manushya Partha Sarvashaha, which says that Krishna is saying that as everyone surrenders to him, he rewards them accordingly and basically facilitates this uh, idea that they can have whatever relationship they want with him according to their their perception of him and their predisposition. So if they want a sort of an impersonal relationship or a personal relationship or what kind of personal relationship, he rewards them accordingly.
So which point are you proving?
The point that Arav had made about Krishna having a relationship with his devotees, specifically in different ways, individual relationships.
Okay, well done. Shivani's ready to go.
So the point is like our relationship with Krishna is transcendental, and then the verse is from Bhagavad Gita 4.10. So it's Vitaragha Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashita Bhavo Jnana Tapasasa Bhutamad Bhavamagata. And Krishna is saying like being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, and being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So, like Krishna is saying, when you surrender to him, you become free of material attachments and you gain transcendental love for him.
Very comprehensive and nicely done, Shivani. Way to go. Sanksheta.
Haribol Maharaj, I picked the point where like Krishna's like relationship with us is always transcendental, and I like saw I got remembered by like a verse from Bhagavad Gita 9.29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshtyosти na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. And like Krishna's like saying how he's not like impartial towards any of the living beings, and he doesn't hate anyone or that nobody's dear to him, but like anybody who worships him with like sincere love or devotion like resides in him, and we reside like he resides in us.
And that's proving point number one.
Yeah, the transcendental relationship.
Nicely quoted. Very good. Rajaras Bhavana.
I was thinking of Arav's third point, how Krishna attracts devotees, and one verse that connects to that is the Atmarama verse. Atmarama nirgrantha apyarukrame kurvantya kim bhaktim ittam bhuta gunohari, where it is mentioned that even those that are self-realized and are self-satisfied are still attracted to the glories of Krishna, and they're attracted to rendering service to him. And thus the Lord has qualities that can attract everyone, um, from those who are very lowly to those who are already self-realized.
I would have to say that's the perfect verse for that application. Fantastic. And Lord Chaitanya made a big deal of that verse too, right? Oh, good. We're back to Maitali. Go for it, Maitali.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I'm not really sure if this counts or not, but
Never
Arav was
preface with a doubt. Come in strong, and if you're wrong, go down in flames. Just go boldly forward.
okay. So when Arav said that like our relationship with Krishna was transcendental, I was thinking of Bhagavad Gita 9.22 where Krishna says, Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham, where Krishna says like those who worship me with devotion and meditate upon my transcendental form, like I personally carry like what they lack and perceive what they have. So that just shows that like Krishna, like he's always with us, and he has a relationship with us, and like he takes personal responsibility for his devotees, and like that just shows like how our relationship with him is transcendental. So
I like that. Nice, Maitali. Way to go. Madhuri Saki.
The verses from Teachings of Queen Kunti, specifically Namo or Janmaishvarya Shruta Shirbir Edamana Madapuman Nai Na
Naivar habitatum.
by Kamakinchana Gocharam. And in that verse, Kunti Marini says that the Lord can be easily approached. And so I think it kind of supports Arv's second point that Krishna attracts devotees. And she specifically says, the Lord is the property of like the materially impoverished. And in the or in the purport that we just read, it talked about how Krishna is attractive and because of his transcendental qualities. I'm not remembering the exact sentence, but I thought it kind of supports the points brought up.
Nice going to Queen Kunti with that. I like that a lot. Okay, Manya and then Manhar.
Hi, Krishna. I was thinking about 15.7 from the Gita, which says, Mama Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Mana Sastani Indriyani, Prakriti Stani Karshati. Answering the question that Aro said that our relationship with Krishna is transcendental. I was thinking of what the word transcendental could imply because we have a relationship with many things and people. I was thinking what makes it really transcendental is that it is eternal. And this verse talks about how we are eternally servants of Krishna. Says Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, which means that we're eternal. So I thought it related well with that.
Excellent. Nicely done. Okay, last one comes from Manhar.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I think I'm not sure if this works, but I think that 9.31 of the Bhagavad
Don't
Gita, where Krishna,
preface with a doubt.
yeah,
Come in strong, just make your point and be precise as possible. Go for it.
okay. So 9.31 of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, "Kaunteya pratijani hi mame name bhakti pranashiti." So like I feel like it works because like Krishna's devotees are attracted to him, and then since they're attracted to him, Krishna like says that they never perish.
Okay. Nicely quoted. Tarini Radha for the real close.
Sorry, I just raised my hand last minute because like at first I was like doubtful if my verse that I thought it would work, but like you told us to
No
come in strong.
problem.
Um so it's a pretty like basic verse. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Arjanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So in the particular part I was thinking about is Sakyam, where Krishna, you can, well, it's not just Sakyam, but like Madhurya Ras too. Like you can develop a friendly relationship with Krishna, or you can develop like any sort of relationship with Krishna, and so that's like stated in the verse. And also, or you could develop a relationship as like you want to serve Krishna, which is Archanam. You want to serve him, you want to like do arti and whatnot. And so I was just thinking how it's like transcendental too, because it's like the first 2 points. It's an individual relationship because of like Sakyam, and also transcendental because Atma Nivedanam, because like no other relationship can make you like free from this world.
Nice. I like your adaptation of that verse. You know, I was thinking of a verse that comes when Krishna walks in to the wrestling assembly, and the people who are observing the wrestling match, or the wrestling match is about to that it's about to occur, are notably individual in their relationships with Krishna, because each person, according to his or her perspective, sees Krishna in a different way. Do you all remember that verse? We sing that. I think it's on our list at ISV. We sing that song. That also indicates the individuality of the relationship with Krishna. Nice exercise, everyone. I think you did really well. And it's a fun exercise because when we have verses at our disposal, having learned them or heard them and then we relate them to points, then they become integrated in our mind, and we're able to use them at a moment's notice when we see them. They take on more meaning after we've learned them, don't you think? Here it is. The various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways when he entered it with his elder brother. The wrestlers saw Krishna as a lightning bolt, the men of Mathura as the best of males, the women as Cupid in person, the coward men as their relative, the impious rulers as a chastiser, his parents as their child, the king of the Bhojas as death, the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, the yogis as the absolute truth, and the Vrishnis as their supreme worshipable deity. Fantastic. You know what I've been really missing is hearing the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Did you finish it while I was away, or is it still going on? Actually, everyone had a 2-week break anyway, right? Would you all be up for hearing a little more Lilamrita? Okay, I saw a few heads nodded. Got a thumbs up from Madhuri Saki and Arna. Maitali's really into it. Arav, Tarini Radha, Pavni. I think we have a quorum. Navya's there. Krishna Dave's there. Okay, looks good. I think we can proceed. Procedurally, I think we're safe since we voted heartily to take it up again. What have we been doing, Bradras Bhavana? 2 paragraphs or 3?
We like 2 to 3, depending on the length. If they're short, you can do 3, otherwise 2. And if they're
Okay.
really long,
I'll volunteer to start with the first 3 paragraphs. The Paradox at 64 East 7th Street on the Lower East Side was a restaurant dedicated to the philosophy of George's Osawa, and the macrobiotic diet. It was a storefront below street level with small dining tables placed around the candlelit room. The food was inexpensive and well reputed. Tea was served free, as much as you liked. More than just a restaurant, the Paradox was a center for spiritual and cultural interests, a meeting place reminiscent of the cafes of Greenwich Village or Paris in the 1920s. A person could spend the whole day at the Paradox without buying anything, and no one would complain. The crowd at the Paradox was a mystical congregation interested in teachings from the East. When news of the new Swami uptown at Dr. Mishra's reached the Paradox, the word spread quickly. Harvey Cohen and Bill Epstein were friends. Harvey was a freelance artist, and Bill worked at the Paradox. After Harvey had been to Prabhupada's place at Dr. Mishra's yoga studio a few times, he came by the Paradox and began to describe all about the new Swami to Bill and other friends. Bill, I was working at the Paradox one night when Harvey came to me and said, I went to visit Mishra, and there's a new Swami there, and he's really fantastic. Well, I was involved in macrobiotics and Buddhism, so at first I couldn't care less. But Harvey was a winning and warm personality, and he seemed interested in this. He said, why don't you come uptown? I would like you to see this.
So I went to one of the lectures on 72nd Street. I walked in there and I could feel a certain presence from the Swami. He had a certain very concentrated, intense appearance. He looked pale and kind of weak. I guess he had sorry. I guess he had just come here and he had been through a lot of things. He was sitting there chanting on his beads, which he carried in a little bead bag. One of Dr. Mishra's students was talking, and he finally got around to introducing the Swami. He said, We are the moons to the Swami's sun. He introduced him in that way. The Swami got up and talked. I didn't know what to think about it. At the time, the only steps I'd taken in regard to Indian teaching were through Ramakrishna, but this was the first time to my knowledge that bhakti religion had come to America. Bill Epstein, quite in contrast to Robert Nelson, was a dashing, romantic person with long, wavy dark hair and a beard. He was good-looking and effervescent, and took upon himself a role of informing people at the restaurant of the city's spiritual news. Once he became interested in the new Swami, he made the Swami an ongoing topic of conversation at the restaurant. Bill, I went in the back and I asked Richard, the manager, I'm going to take some food to the Swami. You don't mind, do you? He said, no, take anything you want. So I took some brown rice and other stuff and I brought it up there.
I went upstairs and I knocked on the door, and there was no answer. I knocked again and I saw that the light was on because it had a glass panel. And finally he answered. I was really scared because I had never really accepted any teacher. He said, come in, sit down. We started talking and he said to me, the first thing that people do when they meet is to show each other love. They exchanged names, they exchanged something to eat. So he gave me a slice of apple, and he showed me the tape recorder he had, probably for recording his chants. Then he said, have you ever chanted? I said, no, I haven't chanted before. So he played a chant, and then he spoke to me some more. He said, you must come back. I said, well, if I come back, I'll bring you some more food. James Green, a 30-year-old carpentry teacher at Cooper Union, was delving into Eastern philosophy. He lived on the same block as the Paradox and began hearing about the Swami from Harvey Cohen and Bill Epstein while regularly taking his evening meal at the restaurant. James, it was really Harvey and Bill who got the things going. I remember one evening at Mishra's in which Swamiji was only a presence but did not speak. Mishra's students seemed more into the bodily aspect of yoga. This seemed to be one of Swami's complaints.
His room on 72nd Street was quite small. He was living in a fairly narrow room with a door on one end. Swamiji would set himself up along one side, and we were rather closely packed. It may have been no more than 8 feet wide, and it was rather dim. He sat on his thin mattress, and then we sat on the floor. We wouldn't chant. We would just come and he would lecture. There was no direction other than lecture on the Bhagavad Gita. I had read a lot of literature, and in my own way, on my own shy way, I was looking for a master. I think. I have no aggression in me or go-getting quality. I was just really a listener, and this seemed right. Hearing the Bhagavad Gita, so I kept coming. It just seemed as if things would grow from there. More and more people began coming. Then it got crowded, and he had to find another place. The new group from the Paradox was young and hip. In contrast to the older, more conservative uptown people who'd been attending Prabhupada's classes. In those days, it was still unusual to see a person with long hair and a beard, and when such people started coming to the Swami's meetings on the west side, some of the older people were alarmed. As one of them noted, Swami Bhaktivedanta began to pick up another kind of people. He picked them up at the Bowery or at some attics. They came with honey, hats, and gray blankets wrapped around themselves, and they startled me.
David Allen, a 21-year-old seeker who came up from the paradox, had just moved to the city, optimistically attracted by what he had read about experimentation with drugs. He saw the old group as a kind of fuss-budgety group of older women on the west side listening to the Swami's lectures. David, we weren't known as hippies then, but it was strange for the people who had originally been attracted to him. It was different for them to relate to this new group. I think most of the teachers from India up to that time had older followers, and sometimes wealthy widows would provide a source of income. But Swamiji changed right away to the younger, poorer group of people. The next thing that happened was that Bill Epstein and others began talking about how it would be better for the Swami to come downtown to the Lower East Side. Things were really happening down there, and somehow they weren't happening uptown. People downtown really needed him. Downtown was right and it was ripe. There was life down here. There was a lot of energy going around. Chapter 17 On the Bowery. I couldn't understand the difference between friends and enemies. My friend was shocked to hear that I was moving to the Bowery, but although I passed through many dangers, I never thought that this is danger. Everywhere I thought this is my home. Srila Prabhupada in Conversation.
April 1966. Someone broke into room 307 while Srila Prabhupada was out and stole his typewriter and tape recorder. When Prabhupada returned to the building, the janitor informed him of the theft. An unknown burglar had broken the transom glass, climbed through, taken the valuables, and escaped. As Prabhupada listened, he became convinced that the janitor himself was the culprit. Of course, he couldn't prove it, so he accepted the loss with disappointment. Some friends offered replacements for his old typewriter and tape recorder. In a letter to India, he described the theft as a loss of more than 1,000 rupees, $157. It is understood that such crime as has been committed in my room is very common in New York. This is the way of material nature. American people have everything in ample, and the worker gets about 100 rupees as daily wages, and still there are thieves for want of character. The social condition is not very good.
Prabhupada had told, one second. Prabhupada had told Joseph Forrester, the Scindia ticket agent, that he would be returning to India in a couple of months. That was 7 months ago. Now, for the first time since his arrival, Prabhupada had returned to the Scindia ticket office in Brooklyn. He talked about the theft to Mr. Forrester, who responded with "Welcome to the club," and told Prabhupada about the recent theft of his own automobile. Such things, he explained, were not unusual for New York City. He told Prabhupada of the dangers of the city and how to avoid thefts and muggings. Prabhupada listened, shaking his head. He told Mr. Forrester that American young people were misguided and confused. He discussed his plans for returning to India and showed Mr. Forrester one of his Bhagavatams. Prabhupada had lost his spirit for living in room 307. What would prevent the janitor from stealing again? Harvey Cohen and Bill Epstein had advised him to relocate downtown and had assured him of a more interested following of the young people there. It had been an attractive proposal, and he began to reconsider it. Then, Harvey offered Prabhupada his studio on the Bowery. Harvey had been working as a commercial artist for a Madison Avenue advertising film when a recently acquired inheritance had spurred him to move into a loft on the Bowery to pursue his own career as a painter. But he became disillusioned with New York. A group of acquaintances addicted to heroin had been coming around and taking advantage of his generosity, and his loft had recently been burglarized. He decided to leave the city and go to California, but before leaving, he offered his loft for Prabhupada to share with David Allen.
David Allen had heard that Harvey Cohen was moving to San Francisco if he could sublet his AIR loft. Harvey hadn't known David for very long, but on the night before Harvey was supposed to leave, he coincidentally met David 3 different times in 3 different places on the Lower East Side. Harvey took this as a sign that he should rent the loft to David, but he specifically stipulated that the Swami should move in too. As Prabhupada was preparing to leave his 72nd Street address, an acquaintance, an electrician who worked in the building, came to warn him. The Bowery was no place for a gentleman, he protested. It was the most corrupt place in the world. Prabhupada's things had been stolen from room 307, but moving to the Bowery was not the answer. Srila Prabhupada's new home, the Bowery, had a long history. In the early 1600s, when Manhattan was known as New Amsterdam and was controlled by the Dutch West India Company, Peter Minuit, the governor of New Netherland, staked out a north-south road that was called the Bowery because a number of boeries, or farms, lay on either side. It was a dusty country road lined with quaint Dutch cottages and bordered by the peach orchards growing in the estate of Peter Stuyvesant. It became part of the high road to Boston and was of strategic importance during the American Revolution as the only land entrance to New York City.
In the early 18,000s, the Bowery was predominated by German immigrants. Later in the century, it became predominantly Jewish, and gradually it became the city center of theatrical life. However, as a history of Lower Manhattan describes, after 1870 came the period of the Bowery's celebrated degeneration. Fake auction rooms.
Degeneration.
Oh, degenerations. Fake auction rooms, saloons specializing in 5 cents ski and knockout drops, sensational dime museums, filthy and rat-ridden stale ear dives, together with Charles M. Hoyt's song, The Bowery, The Bowery. I'll never go there anymore, fixed it forever in the nation's consciousness as a place of unspeakable corruption. The reaction of Prabhupada's electrician friend was not unusual. The Bowery is still known all over the world as a skid row, a place of ruined and homeless alcoholics. Perhaps the uptown electrician had done business in the Bowery and had seen the directly sitting around, passing a bottle or lying unconscious in the gutter, or staggering up to passerby and genuinely bumping into them to ask for money. Most of the about 7 or 8,000 homeless men slept in lodging houses that required them to vacate their rooms during the day, having nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. They would loiter on the streets, standing silently on the sidewalks, leaning against a wall, or shuffling slowly along alone or in groups. In cold weather, they would wear 2 coats and several suits of clothes at once, and would sometimes warm themselves around a fire. They would keep going in a city garbage can at night. Those without lodging slept on the sidewalks, doorsteps, and street corners, crawled into discharged boxes, or sprawled side by side next to the bars. Thefts were commonplace. A man's pockets might be searched 10 or 20 times while he slept. The rates of hospitalization and death in the Bowery were 5 times higher than the national average, and many of the homeless men bore marks of recent injuries or violence.
Any reflections? Arya.
Why did the burglar steal a typewriter? The typewriter.
Because you could take it to a pawn shop. You know what that is?
No.
Somebody put up pawn shop in the chat box. It's a place where people take any kind of thing of value. They give you a little money in exchange for it, and then they sell it from their shop. They're called pawn shops. So somebody would steal it, and then they would go sell it for a little bit of money. Generally, people who are addicted to drugs and things like that, they would steal things so they could support their habit of drinking or taking drugs.
Oh.
Tarini Radha, reflections.
Yeah, I was just like thinking about how earlier and like just throughout the entire Leela Amrit Prabhupada mentions like he's doing this for because his guru told him to come to America, and like how many risks he's taking, and he's like living in the Bowery, which was like probably the most dangerous place in America at the time. And he lived there, and then I know that something happens after that with his roommate, um, and like he keeps on taking risk after risk just to spread Krishna consciousness to the world. And like it just makes me appreciate him a lot, because like without him and all those risks he took to like spread his movement, I probably wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, good point. But you're ready to take risks now too, right?
I don't know about that.
Something. Yeah, definitely. This morning we had our Bhagavatam class at ISV, and Jayadvaita Swami's here. So somebody had mentioned about, or he mentioned about how Bhakti True Swami had said to Prabhupada, I wish I had been there with you during those times when you were alone, so I could have served you. And Prabhupada said, I was never alone. I was always with my spiritual master. Profound realization about Prabhupada's austerity of going to such a far-flung place with so many risks, as you just mentioned. But he always felt connected to his spiritual master. There's a statement by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about how the inconveniences that I meet while serving my spiritual master are my greatest pleasure. Okay, Sangshita.
Maharaj. Like I take inspiration from one Prabhupada's courage and resilience, because he like doesn't even worry about whatever's going around him. He just like focuses on the one goal he came for, spreading the Harinam and like the teachings. And before, when he was on the Jaladuta, he had his heart attacks, he said, Krishna, why are you making me suffer? But it's okay, like I'm just your doll, so you do what you have to do with me. And that like inspired me so much, because like we're all like absorbed in material nature, and we want this and we want that. But Prabhupada only wanted to fulfill his Guru Maharaj's order, and like spread the Harinam to us, and like spread the consciousness.
Well done, Sangsheta. Nicely presented. Let's take two more. Any reflections from our reading today? Any specifics that stuck in your mind that you could reflect back? How did it make you feel? What did you hear? Like? Yes, Brajaras Bhavana.
This is a reflection from the reading today and also the last reading we had, where it was discussing Prabhupada's time with Robert Nelson and how encouraging Prabhupada was, because Robert Nelson wanted to help Prabhupada get some more money so that he could have a bigger preaching movement. And so he took him to record studios to get his voice recorded, to get an album produced. And even though they were getting rejected and they were getting finessed a little bit, and Prabhupada noticed it and saw that Robert wasn't very good as a businessman, and he had done it for years before, he still encouraged him and allowed him to do that service for him. And I was noticing here as well that Prabhupada, with uh, these young people that he met, he took their advice, or he respected what they were feeling about downtown. And even though a lot of people said that this is not a good idea, it's not safe, and so on, Prabhupada, he went for it. He almost took it like a sign from Krishna that maybe that's where I should go. And he didn't really feel fearful, and he was always looking to help those that actually came to him. He wasn't really getting ahead of himself, or he was trying to appease everyone. He was just trying to help those and connect with those that were engaging with him, and it was very personal in that regard. And it wasn't like, oh, this won't be good once we get more people. He didn't think of it like that. And so I found that very inspiring, where Prabhupada is very personable, and he's very engaging, and also he was very tolerant and patient with all these young people that were coming to see him.
Brother Babina, did the album come out?
I don't think they got any deals
Huh.
at that
Because
time. Or
when
maybe.
Shama Sundar first met with George Harrison, George Harrison mentioned that, oh yeah, I've already been listening to this album. And of course, that's pre George Harrison era. That's just the beginning of the era when he produced an album from there. But there was an album with Prabhupada talking about the chanting Hare Krishna and so forth that George had been listening to again and again. So there was some album out there, pre George Harrison, pre Apple Records and stuff like that. Be interesting to find out what happened with that.
Yeah, I remember that they recorded it, but they weren't able to produce or like get it published. So
Get it
perhaps it got
marketed.
published later on.
Nobody wanted to buy it. I see. Fantastic. Yeah, and amazing when you bring up these incidents because any one of them could have been a great demotivator to, embark on a project and then nobody wants it and so forth. But it goes to what some of the other devotees said just a moment ago about Prabhupada's determination. Arya, go for it.
Uh, I liked when we had to find the same verse as the 3 points that Arav gave, and it was really fun.
That's because you're inclined towards Shastra, which is a good thing. You have that quality. Okay, Rahini.
Um, about like Prabhupada, I really liked how he was like really tolerant because when he had like 100 and 157 dollars stolen from him from his like flat, then he felt like it was the janitor, but he didn't say anything because like he didn't say anything, but if it was someone else and they if they had money stolen from them, they would just like randomly blame anyone that they could see about stealing.
Hmm.
But he
Yeah, I
just
noticed that also. Prabhupada said, I mean, the author said because Prabhupada couldn't prove it, he didn't make a stink about it. Yeah. Okay. Arav for the close.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking about, I was reading it from somewhere, I think it was on his Desire Tree, about what Srila Prabhupada's dad would say to him. And he would say, if Krishna wants to give, he'll give you with 10 hands, and if he wants to take something away, he'll also take away. How much will you keep with you? So I was thinking, in this time, Krishna took away from Srila Prabhupada this typewriter, although it's not really taking it away because he's just trying to prove how tough Srila Prabhupada is, all he can do to the world. That's why we're reading right now. And then also when he gives, he gives he gave him his Guru Maharaj. And then the whole movement also, and the ability to write the books, which
Yeah.
is was really nice.
Prabhupada remained determined. He also lost his manuscript. That was stolen as well. The manuscript for the Bhagavad Gita. It's not like nowadays. You lose something and it's backed up on your hard drive somewhere on the cloud. Back then, if you lost the manuscript, it was just gone because it was on paper. Speak of the typewriters back then. Has anybody here on this in this assembly ever touched a typewriter before? I'm not talking about a keyboard, but a typewriter. Where'd you find one, Arya?
It was when I was in first and second grade because there was like a class. It was called digital literacy. So there was like a typewriter, and we all got turns to type on it.
How'd you like that?
It was a bit old because when you pressed it, it got stuck.
That was always a possibility of getting stuck. I can remember when we switched over from typewriters into the computer age. I can remember that. And I remember my mom and dad, my mother made the change, changing from typewriter into computing, and my father never made the change. I can remember her sitting in one room working on the Mac, which was just a really slow little machine back, but it was fast for those days. And my father clacking away in the other room. Interesting leap in technology. Manhar, go ahead.
Okay. So my point was that I liked how like Srila Prabhupada when he got like when his typewriter and everything got stolen, like he didn't like quit at all. And then he wasn't like, no, I can't handle this New York stuff. And then like he just kept going.
Is that what you plan to do for the rest of your life?
I'm not sure.
Just say yes.
Yes.
Good for you. Okay, Navya, what do you got?
I think it's nice the way Prabhupada will move anywhere or do anything for the movement. Like he's not really thinking about his own comfort. Like in the Bowery, I'm sure it wasn't very nice there, but just to keep the movement going, he like moved wherever it was necessary, and he followed the advice of everyone around him.
Is that what you feel in your heart you'd like to do in your life?
Maybe.
Just say yes.
Yes.
May Krishna empower you. Hey, look at what Chaitanya Nitai Nam found. Tell us what you've unearthed in your research, Chaitanya Nitai Nam, and tell us how you found it.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. As you can see on the screen, Rajesh just pulled up. I found an article about an album. I think this might have been the album you were talking about, Maharaj, where George Harrison was, because it's mentioned later in this article that the Beatles had also been able to get a copy and that they liked it very much. I noticed that part. But it seems this was from 1966, and it was when a devotee or a record producer had came to one of the programs that uh, Prabhupada was holding at 26 Second Avenue in New York. So this might have been the one based on what Brodros had also described earlier.
Wow. Can we see that picture again? That's a beautiful picture of Prabhupada, isn't it? Amazing. Fantastic. Has anybody here ever seen a vinyl record? Where's Aria? You've seen everything. Okay, a vinyl record. Yeah, Keshav, where'd you see it? Taran Radha?
I was in school one time and I don't know, for like some kind of project or something, someone had brought one of them and it's like you put it inside the machine and then there's like a something's kind of sticking out and then it's like and then the vinyl record starts to like turn and then it starts to make noise because of like music because of the I don't know what that's called though. Yeah.
Fairly accurate description. Tarni Radha, did you see a vinyl record somewhere?
Yeah, well, I didn't see it in person, but my friend got like one for Christmas. And so she sent pictures, and so I saw it.
Wow. I hope she had a turntable she could play it on.
Yeah, I think she got that along with it.
I have of course, I'm well acquainted with them because that was the medium back when I was young. But the a devotee gave me one of those original records that was produced around those times. I have it somewhere in my archives. Rahini, go ahead for the close, and then we'll take a few reflections in general. I'd like to also solicit any responses you have to goal setting before the new year and hear how that went. Rahini, were you going to make a point?
No, I accidentally pressed the raise hand button.
Okay, well, where'd you get that picture you got on your screen then?
Oh, this? Google.
What?
Google.
On Google? Who is it?
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful picture. Who's the picture of?
What? Krishna.
Do you have a personal relationship with that person?
I have like a deed of Krishna that I started.
You said you dream of Krishna?
Oh no, I have a deity of Krishna that I
You have a
serve.
deity of Krishna and you have a personal relationship with him, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's why you keep his picture. Thanks, Rahini. Okay, anybody set goals for the new year? Anybody was here when we talking about it before I left for India? Arav, you're about to say something. Did you set some goals? You don't have to
Hare
tell us what your
Krishna.
goals are, but I'd like to hear about the thought process if you have any comments about it and if you have them written down. Are you getting any inspiration from it? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna. Yes, the goal setting session before was very helpful because I hadn't originally known about the writing it in present tense. And that helps a lot because you can just say that you are doing that, and then when you go back and if you look at it, then it says I am doing this, so you'll think, yeah, I should be doing this right now. If it's jumping, it's how many ever rounds they've scheduled. It says I am doing this many rounds, and then that day when you look at it, then you say, okay, I have to do this because I've said I'm doing this.
Nice. Any reflections from the yatra that you want to share, Chaitanya Nityanam?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, there was a lot of experiences and reflections that I had
Could you
going
give a
on.
quick summary of where we went?
We went to, first of all, Simhachalam near Vishakhapatnam, and then we went to Kormakshetra, which is also in that area. And then we went to Rajamundry, which is southern Andhra, or further south in Andhra, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had met with Ramananda Roy. And then we traveled to Trichy and Sri Rangam, which is all these places Mahaprabhu had visited on his tour of South India. And last we went to Madurai. So there are a lot of places that we visit, especially temples in South India, that I think just being able to have that sort of a different experience from when we go to, say, ISKCON temples in Kolkata or Mayapur, or even in Jagannath Puri, I had a slightly different experience the first time we went. But in the South Indian temples, I think as it, I was reminded of the mood that we were reading about in the purport in the Bhagavad Gita about how the mood with the universal form that Krishna displayed to Arjuna was different, but I had that reflection of how many of the devotees there had their own relationship and mood with Krishna that they were visiting at that any of these specific temples, such as and especially in Sri Rangam and Simhachalam, I saw a lot of love for Krishna, that form of Krishna that they were visiting, based on the crowd sizes there, and of course all the pushing. But there was just so much enthusiasm among all the devotees that were visiting there, and that I was reminded of that when we were reading in this purport, how everyone and we were discussing how people have their relationships on a transcendental level, and it felt really transcendental. So that's one thing I had taken away.
Thank you, Chaitanya Nityanam. Any reflections from your time off during the holidays? How did it go? Did you keep the transcendental vibration going? I was sitting on the airplane coming home from India, and I had a hat on, and on the cap it said "Keep the transcendental vibration going." And some lady was walking past me, and she stopped and she looked at me and goes, "Now that's a good hat." How was your time off? Any reflections from that, or do you have any questions that you want to ask about anything, or any realizations you're getting about your life in Krishna consciousness since you're human beings passing through this universe? Wow, lots of them. Okay, go ahead, Arya.
How did you feel when you went to India?
Well, let's see now. How did I feel? I felt eager to meet with all the devotees because I have this experience that when we go on yatra, as soon as we get together with all the devotees, there's a natural enthusiasm from the group to want to hear and chant, be together, and those who have come there had come there very deliberately, and that creates an upsurge in Krishna consciousness for me. So I felt expectant of such an environment. And as usual, I got more than I had expected. Even though I had high expectations, it was even better than I thought it might be. Those are a few general thoughts. Brajaras Bhavana.
I had a question about that article that Chaitanya Nityanam brought up. It says like in the third sentence how Narada Muni, who's the real spaceman, first brought the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to Earth from Goloka, and I was wondering if there's any more to that. I've never heard that before.
Where's that on the album cover?
Yeah, on the article, right right here at the beginning.
It says, "Attention, all eternal wayfarers on the shores of earth." Well, it doesn't ring to me as a specific Shastric moment, except for that Narada Muni is obviously one of the main preachers of the holy name and so forth. And just judging from the first sentence, this was written to appeal to the counterculture audience at that time. And mentioning Narada Muni at that time was quite common amongst the early devotees as a spaceman, which was appealing to the current audience at that time. That's my immediate thought. Saki Vrinda?
Hey Krishna Maharaj, I had a reflection.
Please.
So, one of my New Year's resolutions was to incorporate reading at least 3 pages of the Bhagavatam every day. And the first day that I started it, I felt like more happy and joyful and content. And it reminded me of the verse in the Bhagavatam 7.13.29, where it says, Jalam tad udbhavais chanam hitvango jalakamyaya Mrigadrishnanam Upadavit Tatana Yatra Drikswata, where Prabhupada gives the example of a deer, and because of his ignorance, he cannot see the water in a well which is covered by the grass, and he runs to find water elsewhere. And Prabhupada compares it to the living entity, which is covered by the material body, and we fail to see the happiness within ourselves, and we run after more happiness in the material world. And it made me come to the realization that we don't need to seek happiness anywhere else. And we already have enough happiness with Krishna and learning about his pastimes and just connecting with him.
I love that, Saki Vrinda. What a great verse, and I love the realization. Okay, we're just running out of time. So we have Keshav, and then we have Tarani Radha for the close.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, so I just have two things to say. So one, first is a question. So we were reading 11.8, and there it said that the devotee like is like who's correctly situated likes Krishna because like of his transcendent qualities, not godless displays of opulence. But I just was confused because Vishnu in the Lord Vishnu is the form in Vaikuntha is like more of an opulence form, right? Like awe and reverence. So then, but Vishnu is also a form of Krishna of God. So that uh how is that form like a godless display of opulence?
It's semantics, and it has to do with the context. When you when we hear about the universal form, there are ghastly aspects. You're seeing the armies being devoured and crushed in the teeth of the universal form. Sound familiar, that section?
Yeah.
And it doesn't literally mean there's no God involved. Godless has this sense of being away from that which is godly or which we would consider to be sublime. And the universal form really is, in many of its aspects, relating to the carnage of the material world, how every living entity is entering within the mouth of this huge form and just being crushed and devoured. And in that sense, it's semantic, it's not literal. And that's the idea behind it. Tarani Radha, you get the last word today. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Today's class is really great, and I have a couple things to say. So first, I just want to share a realization. Over winter break, I went to New Jersey because, like, I frequently go to New Jersey, and like always, you visited Tawako, but we visited during New Year's Eve, and we celebrated the evening there. We didn't stay till midnight, but we like stayed there. Um, and I can say, like, I was thinking just about, so I was born in New Jersey, so I was thinking, like, if I grew up in New Jersey, I would be like completely different than I am today. And I just kind of have a feeling about that. But I was also thinking, like, I know that no matter what, I would still have like one steady part in my life, no matter where I would have grown up. Well, thanks to Prabhupada, is because the steady part is Krishna consciousness. Because no matter where I am, I'd be having like some temple to go to because I lived in New Jersey for a bit when I was born, and then I moved to Atlanta, and then recently I moved to North Carolina, and everywhere there's Krishna consciousness. So no matter where I am, even though I would have grown up and had probably like a different personality, I still would have had that steady Krishna consciousness throughout my life. And so it's just like kind of a big realization for
It
that.
is. It is amazing. Yeah.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
And also, I just want to like clear my understanding for that question that Keshav had.
Mm.
So he said the godless opulence, and you said it's not like necessarily completely godless. So what my understanding is that like it's not godless, but it's not what we want to attain because it's relating to the material world, correct? Because like the like ghastly form of him being like and the armies being crushed in his teeth is like relating to birth and death, which is just relating to the material world. So that's not something we want to like achieve, and therefore it's like not it's like godless in the sense that some not the god we want to associate
Well,
with.
that sense is also there. And even in the very opulent forms of the Lord, where the Lord is Narayan and so forth, is not our aspiration. you find at the end of this chapter that Arjuna ultimately wants to see the Somya Vapu, the very simple, sublime, human-like form of the Lord. It's highly relatable in love and relationship. And the devotees who are pure devotees of Radha Krishna and Vrindavan are not so attracted to the Narayan forms. So even in that aspect, but as you said also, and as we've been discussing, the relationship to the Jagat is not the preoccupation of the devotees, and that's one of the features of that universal form. So yes, and there are nuances to that understanding because it's very particular, the mood that the devotees have who want to worship Krishna as the the person. In fact, in Vrindavan, they don't even consider that he's God. That doesn't come up. In fact, in Vrindavan, God is Narayan, and they don't think of Krishna in that light. They just think of him as the most amazing child or adolescent and are enamored of him and love him without any thought that, oh, he's the Supreme Personality of God. Well, great session, everybody. It's nice when we're able to come together and use our collective efforts to hear and chant. And then we have an asset that is eternal. So we've spent about an hour and a half in the direct process of hearing and chanting. The damage done is done and it can't be taken back. We put a big hole in Maya, smashed a hole. And praying that our hearing and chanting today may also stay current in our hearts and minds always. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda, Shri Shri Radha Madhav. If you so desire, please bless everybody who joined Youth Jam today. Everybody who almost joined, those who forgot and slept through it, and those who are thinking about joining in the future. They always may have an eagerness to hear Krishna Katha and change the subject whenever it goes away into some morbid and depressing subject back into the light of Krishna consciousness. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
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 Krishna.
Krishna. Panchakalptabhishcha kripa sindhaveva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo no namaha anantakoti vaishnaviniki jai Gora Premanande Haribo.
Haribol.
Bible.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll hope to see you next week.